95.7 The Game breaking news.
This from Alex Pavlovich and others. The Giants have brought in a new catcher, Mark, to shore things up behind the ditch. Not the ditch, the dish.
The squat.
We have a new guy in the squat. I'm being told Kurt Casale is back with the Giants, Mark. Yeah.
Kurt Casale.
Thank you for that. So, a grand total of 0 at-bats so far this year, although he
wasn't on a team. He played for the Reds last year.
Well, I'm looking at something from a YouTube page called Fish on First from February 15th.
Yeah.
New Marlins catcher Kurt Casale, quote, "I still view myself as a major leaguer." And yet he...
Also to the Giants.
Yeah. So, I was that worthy
Congrats.
of... should I not have...
No.
Grant...
He hit, now when he got traded to the Mariners in 2022 by the Giants, he hit just 125 for them the rest of the way.
Which deal was that? Which of the 13 deals he's made with the Mariners?
Casale was just like, gosh, was that part of a bit? Was that
in the Haniger?
Oh, no, was that, he went with, what was that cat's name who never pitched for the Giants? Matthew.
Oh, Boyd.
Matthew Boyd.
Matthew Boyd. Look at me. I'm a Giants fan.
I think he went with Matthew Boyd in that deadline deal.
Okay.
I'm a Giants fan.
Yeah, Boyd was a Tiger,
now.
then signed with the Giants, was hurt, and then they traded him before he ever came back and pitched. It would kind of be like if they traded Robbie Ray this year.
Right.
So I think he was in that deal. He goes to Seattle. He plays in only 16 games. He hits 125. Following year, he signs with the Cincinnati Redlegs at age 34. And his average balloons all the way up to 175 in 40 games.
Okay.
So that was last year.
Balloon.
And then this year, he had not played yet. So Kurt's back. But look, you know what? He can catch. Like he can play behind the plate. Like
right.
he can catch a good game.
35 and a half years old, out of Walnut Creek.
Yeah, and he's like Yaz's best friend.
Okay, there you go.
He hasn't played on a big league squad this year. However, he's absolutely raking it in the Cubs AAA system for the Iowa Cubs, hitting 362 in AAA this year. How about that?
Kurt Casale, the savior.
So wait, if he's in the Cubs system, how the hell did they just sign him? They just plucked him. If he's in the Cubs system, they can't just have him
on their 40-man roster. I don't know how it all works.
No, they must have let him go. They signed him. They didn't trade for him.
23 games at AAA, hitting 362 with 7 home runs.
And then they dumped him. All right. Like, whatever. They sent Jackson Reitz back down.
Wow.
Pardon me if I don't feel a lot of loss there. So, fine. Experienced catcher who can actually, catch the ball.
Yeah.
I would imagine he's going to be in the lineup tonight. Or is it going to be Sable again?
Probably be Saves.
It doesn't really feel great behind the plate. Sabes, he can hit. He can hit a little bit. Not a great catcher.
Right. And that's where, and I mentioned this yesterday, the loss of Patrick Bailey is twofold because he's been one of your best hitters and you've had nothing behind the plate as far as being able to frame and throw guys out. Sable is hitting 375.
Yeah, he's hitting the ball.
I mean, if you're looking for bright spots, and I don't know if you're in the mood for bright spots today.
Of course I am.
You've been Dr. Negatron all day.
It's not negativity. You're
keeping it real.
It's authenticity.
And I love that about you.
I am very, very, very frustrated.
Yeah.
I want to make sure that we really ride that fence. This is a fine line. If you only tuned in and listened to 4 minutes or whatever, you need to call your friend. My God, Willard gave up on the year. He gave up on... No, there's no give up. This isn't about the standings. There are some circumstances in play that I would be a jerk if I wasn't acknowledging them. The whole team's hurt. The best team in baseball is in town, and the River Cats are playing. This is not about the final score. It goes so much deeper than that. But last night was really, for me, the breaking point in terms of the product, the process, all of these things. It's not working. And I have sat here for 4 years and tried to hold you up and defend you and understand you and try to share in quite frankly, what we know is an unfair world. Like, nobody sits around for the fine print. iTunes service agreement. Scroll, agree, move on. You don't read
Right.
that thing. So, like, if Farhan does go on a radio show and give you his plan, you're not listening. You're not listening. You're just screaming and mad, and I get it. And I get it. But if you sit there and listen to what they've said, I really bought it. And as we get to today, my message is, it doesn't matter who was right. This is taking too long, and it's going the wrong direction, and it feels embarrassing. And the chants in the stadium are no longer Jung-Hoo Lee. They've changed to Let's Go Dodgers. And it's just not acceptable. You can't take our baseball team and turn this into a formulaic process that when it doesn't work, you stubbornly keep banging your head against the wall. That's my issue. I don't think any of the people over there are dummies. I don't think that. I think they're stubborn as all get out. I think their ego could probably be checked. I think all of those things, and I think they are lacking a little awareness. Or maybe this means the same thing. They're burying their heads in the sand. I don't even know, like, sometimes when you're too close to a situation, you're the last to know.
Right.
And so I don't even know to what level they know this. I've actually worked for bosses in the past that don't know how down morale is in a building. I don't know if Farhan knows that. Let me confirm it for you. Your morale is in the dirt. And this goes to the marketing department, the ticketing department, and guess what? The clubhouse too. It does. And there are guys who've been trying to say things the last few years, and they've been trying actually usually kind of nicely. Ross Stripling, Sean Manaea.
Right.
Manaea
on our very program.
Yes. Like, they're trying to subtly be like, yeesh.
Jock Peterson, not through words, but through his own actions, playing Pusoy Dos in the clubhouse, and the skipper basically turning his back and not even really policing it. And I think that it's all permeated down to the fan base and also up from the fan base, because you can't tell me that the players don't know this. And, we've talked about it before. Casey Schmidt, you know when there's a crowd that's with you, or if the crowd's not really with you. And you can even look over to the Oakland A's. I'm not saying that this situation's gotten that extreme, but you know that Oakland A's players feel that at home. They look forward to going out on the road where there's a little bit of energy from the crowd. And this week, this Monday, Tuesday, and then tonight, and tonight's going to be more of the same. It's not just going to turn around because Logan's on the bump and it's a big game and you want to avoid being swept. There's going to be maybe even more blue in the crowd tonight. And it's sad to see the fan base take on such a laissez-faire attitude toward the club, but it's really what the club is putting out there.
What else can we do?
Exactly.
What else can we do? You can't swagger into the building tonight.
And you can't expect the fans to care more than the organization seems to be caring.
I want you to think about this for a second. What'd you say the line? What's the line tonight?
It's Dodgers, I think, minus 145, Giants plus 125.
Okay.
Logan Webb against T to the B to the D.
So let's unpack that for 1 second.
Okay.
I want you to think about what you just said. And I want the organization to freaking hear this. Okay? You are in your building with your ace against TBD. And you're the underdog.
I'm seeing it now as Eliezer Hernandez getting the ball. Is that right, Grandy? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Who are you?
Exactly. I'm going to give you a big W because whatever. The larger point remains. And the Giants should feel very embarrassed by this. Your rival is in town. You are in your building. You are desperate, and your ace is on the hill. And the Dodgers are starting, grab that guy and put him out there.
Number 52, Eliezer Hernandez.
And you're the underdog. Rather significant one, too.
His ERA, 6.35. His whip is not a very cool whip at 143.
The gap between the Giants and the Dodgers has probably never been larger in my lifetime. In my lifetime, I've turned 50 next year. Now, maybe there was something to be said for the 80s. I was a baby. I barely even remember any of that.
Gaga goo goo.
I do. I remember LeMaster. I had some baseball cards, whatever. But that can't be. You can't be at home desperate with your ace going against Johnny whatever.
Eliezer Hernandez.
And you're the underdog.
The numbers I gave you, by the way, were from the last year he pitched, which was 2022. So the Dodgers have blown the dust off of Eliezer Hernandez, who has not pitched since October of 2022. He's going to throw for the first time in, 19 months.
And he's going to shove.
And they're favored.
And he's going to shove.
And they're favored.
Correct.
Your ace against a guy who hasn't pitched in 19 months, and they're favored.
In your building.
Well, it's their building.
Don't say that. Don't say that. That's the stuff that gets me going. Don't do that.
Lucas, should I say it again?
Don't do that.
You won't.
It's not okay.
Hey, Mark.
Yeah.
Chavez Ravine North.
Are they okay with this?
Are you okay with it?
I'm not okay with this.
I'm getting that. I've been here for the last 90 minutes. I'm sensing that you're not okay.
Do you know what I mean?
This reminds me of Pulp Fiction when Marcellus Wallace says to Butch, after Butch comes in and saves him, and Marcellus says, I'm definitely far from okay.
I am far from okay.
Two things.
Do you know what I think is at the very core of this?
It's a great scene, by the way.
This is baseball. It can be radio. It can be parenting. It doesn't matter. Whatever business you're running, whatever house you're running, it doesn't matter. I find you have to, it's not an easy thing to do, but you have to try to build confidence in the people around you. It's very, very important. I try as a dad to build confidence in my kids. My God, it's not easy, right? You're tired, you're overworked, you're stressed, they're pushing your buttons. It's not easy. Next thing you know, somebody's mad, somebody's in tears, and you're like, whoops, I didn't mean for that to go there. I teach classes, the university level. It is absolutely a stated goal. When they come in, I want them to leave with more confidence than when they arrived. That's a stated goal, okay? We try to do that here. Let's be positive. How about try this, try that? You don't see me, right? Me, like we're not running through here barking people down.
Right.
Does the Giants front office think about that at all? When they tell every player, you're only good on Wednesdays when the temperature is 54 degrees and there's a lefty on the hill? Or when you're Marco Luciano, you're the number 45 prospect in all of baseball, and the shortstop who wasn't supposed to beat you out in spring training beats you out in spring training, then he gets hurt, and what do you get? A phone call to your buddy so he can get called up? Like, I wonder if they understand. They're like, yeah, but spreadsheets, here's the data. You're right. There's the data. But there's no way to put into that computer what happens when you support another human being and what can come out of that. Support another human being. Give them a shove. Give them a chance. And if they fail, if Mato still can't do a route, well, then great. We move on.
Right.
But there is so much, and this is why when you guys ask me on the changeover, there's two words, overthinking and ego. The overthinking is, well, geez, I know we probably should call up Luciano, but facing a lefty the next two nights, Schmidt's average against lefties 280, Marcos is only 240. Let's go Schmidt. Good Lord. Good Lord. And then 3 days later, Schmidt gets his first hit off a righty. Can you just show somebody a little confidence? Can you delegate to somebody else? Hey, I think you're smart. Why don't you make the decision? instead of controlling everything, and there's the ego, controlling all of it and deciding you're the only one who knows what's going on, so we're going to do it our way, even when we can see that it doesn't work for 3 years running. That's how I see the Giants organization right now. And that's why morale is in the toilet.
And I think morale should have been better this year than last year, because if you're a regular, everyday position player, you at least felt like you're in the lineup and you get to be in the lineup. But all those guys who we talked about in the lineup, Jung-Hoo Lee is out. He's injured. Soler is out. He's injured. And Slater, a guy who was going to platoon, he's out. He's injured. And all the way down, both your catchers are injured. So it's hard to really look at their options right now and see a lot of options. The Luciano point's a good one, but they obviously thought that Casey Schmidt was a better fit for right now than Luciano, and now Luciano's up here as well, so he gets a chance. And for all these young guys, out of necessity, they now get the opportunity to show what they have. But what if these guys aren't good enough? If Matos can't figure out how to play the outfield, and if Casey Schmidt still can't figure out how to hit at this level, and Luciano still can't play shortstop,
then so it will be.
Well, then, I mean, where are we in August if this continues, and then you realize that your farm is not as good as everybody thought? Well, then it feels like you might be back towards square one.
Then you pivot.
Right.
Then you pivot. But can you imagine for a second you're Marco Luciano, okay?
Yeah.
You've been the dog in the minor leagues for 4 years now.
Even longer, but yeah.
Okay? You've been the guy that everyone's pointing to. And just so, let's try to go into his brain for a second, okay? You're told last October, I sat in the dugout, so did Bonte, so did Lubman, we sat right there, right next to Farhan. And he said, Brandon Crawford's not going to be back because we have got to open up a runway for Marco Luciano. That's our opening day shortstop next year, assuming all things are normal. Then, with 3 weeks to go before spring training is up, they sign Nick Ahmed. There's sign number one. Then the buzz kind of goes away. Yeah, Marco's not going to win the job. So he doesn't even get the job. He doesn't even get to start. Then he goes to the minor leagues, and he's not great. He's also not embarrassingly bad by any stretch. Super high on-base percentage. Not a lot of pop to the bat, but okay. So you're down there, and you're doing your thing. And Nick Ahmed gets hurt. And you, number one prospect in the organization, you get a call to the manager's office. And that manager brings you, Marco, have a seat right here. Listen, Ahmed got hurt. And Casey's going up. Because a left-hander is starting tomorrow night. Do you know what that would feel like if I were Marco Luciano?
Slap in the face, Mark.
So I'm the number 45 prospect in baseball, and you looking me in the eye, and you're telling me I can't go hit some lefty named Spencer on the Reds when I'm a right-handed hitter? I can't hit him? You don't have any faith in me to go try to get a hit at third and king tonight against a lefty? Because Casey's average is 40 points higher against lefties.
Yeah.
That's absurd.
Well, Casey was better in AAA so far this year.
Great. He's not Marco Luciano.
Well, maybe he's better than Marco Luciano.
Maybe.
Maybe the organization knows that Marco Luciano is not the player that they thought he was.
Maybe.
5 years ago when they picked him out of the international pool, and you've seen him not race through the organization, and you've seen other teams have 20, 21, and 22-year-olds come up and flash and pop, and Luciano is not seen, by this organization at least, as a guy who can either play short or hit at the major league level so far.
But then you call him up 5 days later.
Out of necessity, yeah.
Not really.
Well,
a catcher went on the injured list.
Yeah. And I wonder what the move is for the Casali.
Well, luckily it's Reitz.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Jackson.
Reitz goes back down.
Reitzy.
You know, God, if they had sent Marco back down, I would have, we'd be doing the show right outside Farhan's office today. Like, you gotta show some people a little love. These are your people. Remember what Bobby Evans said? I said, what's one piece of advice if you're building a farm system. He didn't even pause.
Right.
He almost stepped on me. His answer was so fast. Believe in your guys. Believe in your guys.
Right.
The Giants' offices right now, whether they are clubhouse, whether it's ticketing people, whether it's marketing people, whatever you do over there, I know this. They're all cruising around being like, nobody believes in what we're doing.
Nobody like us.
Hashtag.
Yeah.
You can't function that way. So this is not the standings. It's that. That's the thing to me.
And the standings, though, are a byproduct. And you've talked about symptoms versus disease. I do think that the disease is what you're talking about. It's an organization that doesn't have a lot of belief in anything that they're doing. Just one quick postscript, as I borrow from Bryant Gumbel. Giants this year against teams above 500, 1-11.
Delicious. Are you kidding me?
1-11. 0-5 against the Dodgers. 0-4 against Philly. 1-2 against Boston.